Good morning, dear children. Welcome back to your geography classes. I am Mrs. Roshni Nair, and today we are doing our second video for second term of this academic year 2020-21. In my previous video lesson, I had informed you about the portion for second unit test. That is, we have Asia, climate and natural vegetation, which is chapter 8 in your textbook, page number 105. And we started our chapter Asia, climate and natural vegetation in our previous video lesson. Today we will be doing part 2 of this chapter. Before we begin our chapter, let me just revise you once again the topics which we will be covering in this video lesson, because few topics are being cancelled. We will be doing the first main heading, climate. Under that we will study summer conditions and also winter conditions. Next main topic of this chapter is types of climate. Under that we will study equatorial climate, tropical monsoon climate, tropical or hot desert climate, temperate grasslands or steppe climate, cold temperate climate, and also sixth one is Arctic climate. Before we start our chapter, let me first go through the answers for my previous PDF questions I had sent in that part 1 from this chapter. Question number 1 was, you have to list the factors that affect the climate of Asia. You just have to write the names of factors. So the main factors, 5 factors mentioned in our textbook is size and latitudinal extent, distance from the sea, relief features, wind, and ocean currents. Now today also I will be giving you to write the factors which affect the climate of Asia. That is, I will tell you to identify the main factors which will affect the climate of Asia. Now the difference here is you have to explain any two of these factors, because in today's video lesson I will be teaching you about these main factors, that is size and latitude, latitudinal extent of Asia, distance from the sea, relief features, wind and ocean currents. That is why the question is being repeated along with an added question or subpart, that is explain any two of them. Question number 2 was easy. Name the following. Under that, first one was the largest continent in the world. We know the largest continent in the world is Asia. The wettest and the driest place in the world. Wettest place is Mausanram in India, and driest place is Gobi Desert and Tibet. Now the answers you can find in the quick facts given in page number 105. Third question is 3 zones of Earth across which Asia extends. Why I mentioned this question? Because today's whole video lesson is based on the extent of Asia. The three zones are torrid zone, temperate zone and frigid zone. Fourth question in name the following is you have to name any three types of climate of Asia. We will be learning around 6 types of climate of Asia. You can name any 3. What were the 6 one you remember? Equatorial climate, tropical monsoon climate, tropical or hot desert climate, temperate grassland or steppe climate, cold temperate climate and Arctic climate. Out of these 6 you can name any 3. Last question was the 2 directions into which most of the mountain ranges of Asia extend. 2 simple directions you are supposed to mention, that is east-west direction. Everything is there in page number 105. Asia extend in an east-west direction. Mountain ranges of Asia. Now let us learn more about climate of Asia. In previous chapter we had already learned about the physical features of Asia, location, extent, everything. So in this video lesson exclusively we will learn only about the climate of Asia. Before explaining climate of Asia, let me show you the world map. Why? Because here different climatic zones are mentioned, first point. Second point, you can see the areas in Asia specifically which will experience, you can see here, tropical wet and dry climate. Where is tropical wet? These dark green color you can see here in India and most part of South Asia. Tropical wet and dry also you can see here and few parts of Asia. Also dry climate, that is semi-arid and arid climate, is seen here somewhere in Saudi Arabia and that side, Iran, Kazakhstan and all. Moderate climate, you can see here moderate climate or the Mediterranean climate. Very, as you can see, Mediterranean part of Asia, we can make out that it is somewhere in Turkey and Lebanon, this side, Turkey, Lebanon and Israel. Then we have humid subtropical. Somewhere here you can make out color. Then we have marine and west coast. Marine and west coast you can make out all here. Marine climate. Continental climate, that is humid continental, as it is called, landlocked areas of Asia. And Asia is the largest continent, so we have many areas which are landlocked. You can see here, landlocked areas basically. And we have subarctic, very important. Why? It is near to Arctic Circle. Subarctic Circle, Russia and all these regions of Asia experience subarctic type of climate. We have polar. Under polar we have ice cap, highlands, tundra. Polar climate will be experienced by these regions which are near to poles, right? These regions of Asia. Let us first go through the factors once again. There are several factors, as we all know. that affect the climate of Asia. First one is size and latitudinal extent. We will learn in detail in next slides because here we are learning few new terms also. Size and latitudinal extent. What is a new term here? The latitude, right? Latitude means it is a measurement of the distance from equator. Latitudes, latitude and longitudes you had studied. Latitudes is the measurement of distance from the equator. Next is distance from the sea. Definitely distance from sea will have some or other effect on the nearby land areas. So the area which is near to sea will be different in the climatic conditions from those areas which are landlocked. Third factor is relief feature. What do you mean by relief features? The physical features of a place, like we can say mountain, the plains, the plateaus, all these will come under relief features. Fourth important factor is wind. We had learned about monsoon winds in standard 8, monsoon winds in standard 7, that is in the chapter weather. Monsoon winds are the periodic winds that change their direction according to the seasons. The last factor is ocean currents. What are currents? Currents is a continuous movement of seawater in a particular direction. Ocean currents. Under that, currents is a new term. What do you mean by current? The continuous movement of seawater in a particular direction. And we all know Asia, we say subcontinent. That is a large landmass that forms part of a continent bounded by physical features. India is known as subcontinent, right? What do you mean by subcontinent? Large mass that forms part of a continent. India is a part of Asian continent, and also India is bounded by many physical features. That is why India is known as a subcontinent. Now, before we start understanding more about the climate and the climatic conditions of Asia, we know that climate of Asia varies greatly from north to south and also to east and west. Why north to south? Because when we learn about the extent of Asia, we know that Asia extends between 10 degrees south to 80 degrees north. Now here you can see equator 0 degree, and there are few countries which are in that equator line. That is why these countries which are near to equator or on the equatorial line, they experience equatorial type of climate. So when we are explaining equatorial climate, we see equator passes through some part of Africa, some part of, this is equator, right? So this line passes through South America and Africa, and also few Asian countries. These areas, they will definitely have the effect of equator passing through these countries, right? So that is why it is known as hot zone. And we had also studied that the zone which falls in between this 23.5 degree or 30 degree north to 0 degree, and from 0 to 30 degree, this is known as torrid zone, because they receive direct sunlight. Then from these 30 degree to somewhere here in 60 degrees, we have temperate zone. What do you mean by temperate zone? Where the places will receive slanting rays of sun climatic conditions are good, population will be more, and also the wildlife and vegetation will also be more compared to the areas which are very dry, or we can say which have very hot climate, which experience very hot climate. Then the region between 60° north. What is the 60° north line? This here 30°, now the 23.5° we know it as Tropic of Cancer. That also passes through Asia. See here it passes through Asia, and also here we have Arctic Circle. Area between Arctic Circle to North Pole is known as frigid zone, we all know. And here in south also we have frigid zone between Antarctic Circle to South Pole. So these areas will have extreme cold climate, right? So once this heat zones of Earth is important for us to learn further about the climates of Asia, because Asia is the only continent which has all the three lines or the heat zones, lines of latitude or the heat zones of Earth passing through it. What are the three main zones of the Earth which passes through Asia? Torrid zone. Here torrid zone is the hot zone which is near to equator, between the equator and Tropic of Cancer. Then we have temperate zone. Where is temperate zone? Between Tropic of Cancer and Arctic Circle. And Asia also experiences, see here Russia, these areas, it is known as frigid zone, which falls in between the North Pole and Arctic Circle. That is why even the climates will be different. Let us start with the first factor, that is size and latitudinal extent. I had already explained about the extent of Asia, that is between 10° south to 80° north. And we all know Asia extends from the equator and stretches beyond the Arctic Circle. Hence, Asia experiences first one, equatorial climate, that is hot and wet. Hot and wet climate, the area which experiences equatorial climate will always be hot and wet. In the south, whereas it experiences tundra climate, that is cold and dry. Remember that near to the poles, frigid zone area, it will have tundra climate, that is cold and dry. The regions which lie in between these two regions experience tropical and temperate climate. In other words, I can say that Asia has equatorial, tropical, subtropical, temperate and tundra climatic belts ranging between south to north. Next factor, very important factor, it is distance from the sea. Whenever a place is near to sea, sea exerts a moderate influence on climate. If the place is located away from the sea, then the moderating influence of the sea decreases. For example, I can say climatic conditions of Chennai and Mumbai will be different from the climatic conditions of Bhopal or Madhya Pradesh or Jabalpur. Why? Because these areas, that is Madhya Pradesh or Jabalpur, these areas are landlocked areas, and The places like Mumbai and Chennai are near to sea, so they will also have that moderate climate. When we compare the area and the extent of Asia, a large part of Asia lies more than 1500 kilometers away from the seashore. Right? It is a landlocked area, as I say. I'll show you another map so that it will be clear for you to understand the continental and the maritime climate as it is called. So the vast area of this Asian continent fails to experience the moderate climate. Thus, due to the lack of moderating influence of the ocean, the vast interior of Asia experiences extreme temperature, while the coastal regions of Asia always experience moderate temperature, and this is due to its vast distance from the sea. The interior of Asia receives less amount of rainfall. Water vapor will be less because there is less water bodies. Therefore, the rainfall also will be less. Now let us understand about the relief feature. Relief feature, I had defined relief already. What do you mean by relief? That is like a mountain or a plateau or plain region, right? Now again, let me repeat the word. It varies in Asia because size and latitude extent of Asia is vast compared to other countries. The relief feature of Asia definitely affect the climate of Asia. The mountain ranges of Central Asia, we had studied Central Siberian Plains and also the mountain ranges of Central Asia, right? And these mountain ranges and also Himalayas force the monsoon winds to shed their moisture. They form the barrier of moisture bearing winds that come from the south. The mountains also prevent the cold polar winds coming from the north to reach the southern part. That's important here to understand. These mountains, that is, we say the mountain ranges of Asia, they form barrier for moisture bearing winds that come from the south. The mountains also prevent the cold polar winds coming from the north to reach the southern part. Therefore, in winters, the Indian subcontinent gets protected from these cold polar winds because of the mountain ranges. Remember that. Now coming to wind. The monsoon winds are the most striking feature of this continent. These winds reverse the direction of winds completely as the season changes. Let me repeat myself. The winds, that is the monsoon winds, reverse the direction of normal winds completely as the season changes, and these winds affect a large part of Asia. They also play an important role in the distribution of rainfall in the continent, and during summers these winds blow onshore and shed heavy rainfall in these areas, while in winter season they blow offshore carrying a little or no rainfall. You might have studied about the land breeze and sea breeze. That is, land breeze is nothing but when the wind blows from land to sea, and sea breeze is when wind blows from sea to land. So when it is blowing from land to sea, definitely the moisture will be less because it's a dry area, but when it is blowing from sea to ocean, it will have much of moisture in it. So it will be cool compared to the warm land breeze. So we can say the cooling effect of sea, that will be more in sea breeze. Now the fifth important one is ocean currents. I had already defined currents. Now let us come to ocean currents. That is, in general for Asia we study two types of ocean currents. The two main ocean currents are the cold Oyashio current and the warm Kuroshio current. So these two we will study in detail. Before that, let me explain few important points related to climate. That is, the climate of Asia. As I told, it is different in different regions because of the vast spread of continent, latitudinal extent, and also, as I told, distance from the sea. Latitude means what? Latitude is nothing but the height above the sea level. So when the latitude changes, that is, when the height above the sea level changes, we eat different foods, we visit different places. It depends on the season, right? That is what we are saying. If it is different type of condition, weather condition which is different, our food habits will be different. Not only there are variations from place to place, but also we say there is a variation from season to season. Now Asia is the largest continent with large east-west extent, and we know that it stretches across these zones. You remember the three zones? That is torrid, temperate and frigid zones of earth. Remember that? Important. Now coming back to ocean currents. Let me show you one more slide which explains more about this ocean currents, because few terms are new for you. The Oyoshio current and warm Kuroshio current. These currents are generally formed near to Japan. That is why the names are different and new. Yeah, this is in short about the main factors of climate if you want to understand better. That is, in short, I can say the main factors that affect the climate of Asia are size and latitudinal extent. Asia is the largest continent with a large east-west extent. Also, it stretches across the torrid, temperate and frigid heat zones of Earth. It's very important to mention here. That is why these three zones names are repeated again and again. Next, or the second factor, is distance from the sea. Many parts of Asia are far away from the maritime influence of the sea and oceans, and experiences extreme conditions and continental climate. Places which are closer to the coast enjoy the equable or maritime climate. I will show you one more slide to explain this maritime and continental climate, as it is called. Maritime influence of sea. Maritime climate is generally when the sea influences the climate of that particular area, the city which is near to sea or ocean. And continental climate is generally in landlocked areas. We say for example Tibet. Tibet is a landlocked area. There is no sea or ocean nearby, right? So it will be like a very hot and dry place. It will experience extreme conditions. There will be high annual range of temperature. in continental climate. And in maritime climate, generally we have very low annual range of temperature. What do you mean by range of temperature? That is the highest recorded temperature and the lowest recorded temperature of a particular year. Let us understand. Okay, let me explain this maritime continental climate once again. That is, whenever a place is near to sea, they will have a very cooling effect of sea, and the climate also will be mild. For example, Mumbai or Chennai. The areas in India, for example, Amritsar or Bhopal, these are landlocked areas. They will experience extreme climatic conditions. The winters will be too cold and the summer will be hot. And in Asia also, many parts of the interior are far away from the maritime influence of the sea and oceans. And these areas experience extreme conditions of summer or maybe winter also. And these places are known as the areas which experience continental climate. Now the places which are closer to coast enjoy equable. What do you mean by equable? Same climate in summer or winter. There is not much difference or no drastic difference we can say in the climatic conditions of summer and winter. The places which are closer to the coast enjoy equable, or equable climate is also known as maritime climate. Now come to relief features. Relief, as I told, it can be a mountain, a plateau, a plain, anything. So relief features like mountain ranges of Asia extend in the east-west direction and form barriers to the moisture-laden winds and cold winds. That is, most of the mountain ranges of Asia extend in a east-west direction, east to west. These mountain ranges are extending and they form barriers to the onshore moisture-bearing winds from the south, and also prevent the cold winds of the north. From where it is coming? From the North Pole. So these mountain ranges form barriers on the onshore moisture bearing winds from the south, and also these mountain ranges prevent the cold winds from the north from penetrating into the south. Coming to wind, that is moisture bearing winds from south and cold winds of the north affect the climate of the places in Asia. And the last important part, that is ocean current. I told I will explain, and I have few more slides to explain more about ocean currents. To start with, we will learn about two names of ocean currents. That is, remember, Oyashiwo, or we say the cold Oyashiwo and the warm Kuroshiwo. Oya, it is cold Oyashiwo, and warm Kuroshiwo. Ocean currents affect the temperatures of the coastal regions of Japan. Remember, these affect the regions of Japan, not to any other place. Especially in Japan, we have two names, cold Oyashiwo and warm Kuroshiwo ocean currents. Now, this is a simple map which shows the different climate. See here, continental climate. You can see the region here, continental climate in the landlocked area. Landlocked, it is surrounded by land. All the four sides, there is no water body nearby. Then we have these region, that is the region which experiences maritime climate. Let me you once again. It is important to understand. The same map I am taking as example. The area in the center, that is Siberian plains, Tibet, all these will have continental climate. And the parts of Asia, that is, see here, all these highlighted regions, they will experience maritime climate. That is, the places which are closer to coast, they will always experience a equable climate. I hope you understood. Now, this is a normal map for you to understand about the mountain ranges. So, what I told, most of the mountain ranges of Asia extends in the east-west direction, and these mountain ranges form barriers to the onshore moisture-bearing winds from the south, and these mountains also prevent the cold winds of the north from penetrating the south of Asia. Okay, now let me explain you about the cold Oyashio and also warm Kuroshio current. Now remember, can you see here Oyashio current? This is Japan coast, see here Japan Sea coast. Now this region, that is, you can see here Oyashio current. Let me highlight, yes, and this is Kuroshio. Now Oyashio is cold, so maybe I can, yeah, already blue is mentioned here, so this is cold, and Kuroshio is warm. This is warm, so I had shown it with red, and Oyashio is shown with blue, so this is cold. The cold Oyashio and the warm Kuroshio ocean currents affect the temperatures of the coastal regions of Japan, these whole region. So when warm and cold current mixes, see here mixed water region, it is clearly mentioned. It is a mixed water region, warm and cold. Let me show you in detail one more slide. This is a place, see here. This is the mixing place, that is, blue color shows the cold Oyashio current here, and this golden color shows the warm Kuroshio current, this one. So what happens? The mixing of cold Oyashio and the warm Kuroshio ocean currents, they provide suitable temperature for the breeding of fish. So the main important point here to understand is, because of the mixing of cold Oyashio and the warm Kuroshio ocean current, the breeding of fish will be more. So what happens? The Sea of Japan is one of the best fishing grounds of the world. So naturally, it will increase the economy of Japan. Now the question can be asked in the format, why the Sea of Japan is one of the best fishing grounds of the world? Remember the word here, world. Why it is the best fishing grounds of the world? Because this area, that is the Sea of Japan, there is a mixing of cold Oyashio and warm Kuroshio ocean currents. So these mixing will provide suitable temperature for the breeding of fish. Right? So with that we come to the end of this topic, climate of Asia. I will be attaching one more PDF which will have few questions related to the mixing of OACO, cold OACO and warm Kuroshio current, and also question based on continental climate and maritime climate. One more question I mentioned before only, that is the factors which affect the climate of Asia. So I had included a small slide also, you can write few points from there. So thank you children, take good care of yourself and refer to page number 105 and please read the topic climate from page number 105, chapter 8, Asia, climate and natural vegetation.